Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode that we're calling, in the series that we're calling Time Out with Alex and Aziz. We're just going to be riffing and just talking about current events and what's going on in the news and stuff like that. Except I don't really read the news too much. So, Aziz, what's been going on in the news?
Well, the new hot thing this week is President Biden's student loan forgiveness. So that's been kind of occupying a lot of space on the news networks lately. There's been a lot of positivity and negativity all across the board. Obviously, it's definitely split between the different party lines. Depending on which side you affiliate with, you're going to have one view or another.
Hmm,
Um,
that's
yeah,
interesting. I would guess that you would say that Republicans are upset about it and Democrats are happy about it. Is
you're
that
right on the money.
okay?
So yeah, but it's interesting because you would think Republicans are all big about getting money back into people's pockets, tax breaks, this,
Yeah,
that, and the
that's
other.
effectively a tax break.
Yeah, essentially. But they prefer tax breaks for wealthier people and corporations because they you tend to believe in that whole concept of trickle down economics. So it's got to start from the top and then it makes its way down to the bottom. Whether you believe that works or not really kind of varies. But at the end of the day, this is something that's happening. Republicans are trying to claim that it's illegal, that Congress is the one that controls, finances and should be the one making this decision. President Biden kind of pulled a loophole on them and said that there's a law that says the president can actually do these types of things when there's a national emergency, which obviously COVID, we still haven't left the pandemic.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
Yeah,
he's using COVID as the excuse.
there you go.
I'm not sure I see that connection.
It's a
I mean,
national emergency. The law just says national emergency. That's all
so
you
you could
need.
just do anything?
I mean, within certain boundaries. So he's using that as his basis. Now, what's important for people to know is who's impacted and how. So if you make under $125,000 as an
Oof.
individual,
Okay.
you can qualify for $10,000 student loan forgiveness. And if you are someone who applied for a Pell Grant, which usually was given to kind of lower income families and whatnot, they can get up to $20,000. But you have to meet the income gap of at least making less than 125,000. For families, married couples, that is, it goes up to $250,000. So
If you're married,
125.
okay, okay, I
Sorry, go
see.
ahead.
It's like double. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, yeah. So 250 for married, 125,000 is the salary cap for single. If you got a Pell Grant, it's $20,000 in loan forgiveness. If you're using other types of government loans, and they have to be federal loans. So unfortunately, if you've got private loans, doesn't work. Has to be federal.
But it's only
So
$10,000 too, right? I mean, that's
yeah,
good. It's nice,
yeah. It
but
actually wipes out debt for a couple of million people across the
oh,
country.
that'll go down to zero. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So it actually will have a big impact.
Man. Huh.
Yeah. So now here's where the Republicans are pissed. They're saying that, and not even Republicans, even some folks like I believe Larry Summers, who used to be President Clinton's Treasury Secretary, and I think he was National Economic Council director or chair under Obama as well. He thinks that it's also not such a good thing because they believe that it's going to increase inflation. So the prices of things are going to go up. And for those of you who are not aware how, their correlation with that is that if people have more money in their pocket to spend, they're going to spend it, which then is going to create more competition or not competition, but that's going to create more demand. And that demand is going to spur the prices to go up because more people are trying to
Ooh.
buy stuff.
Okay, so
Uh,
it is essentially money printing, except that they're funneling it out into the society through the people instead of through the banks, which is what they've been doing.
well, yes and no. Because here's the twist. The Biden administration and President Biden are saying that's not necessarily true because we're under a moratorium right now where student loans payments are frozen, and under this new law, they're frozen. They were supposed to expire at the end of September, but now they're being frozen until December 31st. So you have until the end of the year before you have to make any student loan payments anyway. So getting your loans forgiven is not going to put really more money in your pocket physically right now that you can spend because you're already not spending that money on student loans anyway. So you're still kind of in the same place. Now your net worth will go up because you have less debt. So that being the case, the Biden administration saying, how is this going to increase inflation? We're not actually physically putting money in the people's pockets. We're just removing debt that they're not paying on anyway now until next year.
Okay.
And then if people say, well, what about next year? Well, that doesn't matter because student loan payments come back into effect starting next year. And this forgiveness is only for this current period. If you've gotten student loans after January 30th or sorry, not January, June 30th of this year, you don't get debt forgiveness. So this won't carry over into next year, and student loan payments start back up again next year. So that will put any type of inflation, under control and keep it from happening. So it depends on which side of the coin you believe. The folks that
Man.
said no, people are going to be excited about the fact that they've gotten these loans forgiven and are just going to spend like crazy anyway, or the ones that say it's not going to change people's routines at all because they don't physically are getting a check; they're just getting stuff wiped out of their debt slate.
Okay, so now the question is, how does this affect us in our plans, right? Like we're all like trying to build wealth and trying to, so for those of us who had student loans, right? Like thankfully, I'm happy to say I paid mine off a while ago. Um, so it's a big difference, right? Like once you're not paying on your student loans, you get to keep your money. It's a big deal.
It is.
Um,
But here's the twist. Here's the
okay.
thing. You're asking the question you were just asking at. The biggest thing I can tell you is that what happens when your debt is reduced?
You start making money better. Like you keep your money, you can do stuff with it.
Well, think about it this way: debt to credit ratio.
Okay.
Yeah. So now your debt to credit ratio goes down, which means you can potentially borrow more money that you can use towards starting a business or apply towards, buying properties or other things like that. Um,
Okay, that's interesting. So
yeah.
okay, so this reminds me of my student loan situation. I remember I had four different student loans for each semester that I was in business school, and they had varying balances, like starting balances. And because of the starting balance, they had different monthly payments.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter by the end, I was like playing with it, right? Some of them that had higher payments but lower balances, I was paying more extra towards those. So by the end, I had maybe a small balance but a high payment, and you'd play that game and maybe pay that one off sooner. Like, do you get to choose which one of your loans gets paid off if you have several
I
loans?
That I don't know. I'm not sure how they decide what to apply it to.
Okay, because here's
Um,
what I'll say is that from the perspective of a real estate professional, as a lender, what they look at isn't the total amount that you owe. They look at your monthly payment.
well, if your amount is coming down, your monthly payment could potentially come down too.
Yes,
And
but
then
if you
also,
can pick which loan, you can pick to reduce or maybe even wipe out the loan payment that has the highest monthly payment
yeah,
and make a bigger reduction, which will increase your monthly debt to income ratio more than, even though it's $10,000 one way or the other,
yeah.
but now you can game it and put
Well,
yourself in a position where you can take on a bigger mortgage.
well, here's the thing. I mean, there's nothing to stop people from calling their student loan servicer and telling them exactly how they want that forgiveness to be applied. I
Okay.
mean, I personally have not seen anything that says that, it's going to be distributed in this manner. So if you're still going to have debt, even after this forgiveness, call your lender. Tell them, hey, I want you to apply it to this grouping of loans, and, do it this way.
Hmm.
The other thing that I've actually learned over the years is that, so the federal government actually pays these companies that manage these student loan portfolios based on how well they keep people from defaulting. So it's in their best interest to make sure that you're well serviced and that you're being taken care of so that you're able to pay off your loans well. Otherwise, they don't get compensated by the government and they can actually lose their portfolio. So it's in their interest to work with you.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Doesn't hurt to ask for anything you want. They might accommodate you. You'd be surprised.
Very cool. Well, I think with that, we'll call that a wrap for this episode of Time Out. Um, maybe there's a lot of stuff. There's always stuff to talk about. So with that, keep at it, keep trying to find ways to build your wealth and keep learning, keep growing, and keep taking action, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for participating and joining with us.
And also, quick shout out to those of you who are getting a full forgiveness. If your loan amount was either the 10,000 or 20,000, congratulations. I hope to be there one day myself. And try to use those extra funds to build your dreams.